The Brooklyn Nets may have lost their minds because in recent weeks, the Lakers have been attached to a lot of Brooklyn Nets players, including Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, Royce O, Neale, but not just in their negotiations with the LA Lakers, but with teams all across the NBA. The Brooklyn Nets have increased their asking prices like something crazy. So we're going to break down how this could potentially affect the LA Lakers in potential trade negotiations with the Brooklyn Nets, because they're obviously a team that's also interested in D'Angelo Russell. So there is a path for, if the Lakers are trying to improve their wing depth, improve their forward sort of defense and things, with a D'Angelo Russell sort of trade, obviously other moves would have to happen, to bolster the point guard spot if you're giving up D'Lo, but basically how this affects these negotiations, because again, the Brooklyn Nets have completely lost their minds. But before we dive into that, folks, again, over 90% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and we want to hit that 2,000 subscriber goal ahead of this year's trade deadline. So it would mean the world to us if you guys could hit that subscribe button so we can keep you up to date with all of the latest LA Lakers news. But let's dive into the context of everything that's going on, because again, the LA Lakers and Brooklyn Nets, they've been attached to multiple reports, multiple rumors in recent weeks. One of them just being, the Lakers rumors escalating regarding Spencer Dinwiddie, Royce O'Neal, Finney-Smith, among other trade targets. Obviously, DeJounte Murray's probably the guy that's been most linked to LA in, over the past 2 weeks or so. But apparently the Hawks, as I broke down in our most recent video, are at an impasse with LA and their need for Austin Reaves to be in any potential trade package. So the other names are now getting looked at as the more likely deals to go down for the LA Lakers, heading into this year's trade deadline. And obviously the three Brooklyn Nets guys make sense because, as we all know, the best years of D'Angelo Russell's career were with the Brooklyn Nets. He's been the guy that's most shopped by the LA Lakers this season, particularly following his very inconsistent sort of tenure with LA and it really bottoming out during the playoffs last season. He's been great, in the past 2 weeks or so. So some Lakers fans, myself included, would definitely be happy with LA retaining D'Angelo Russell, but you have to sort of make those calls, make those negotiations with everything that's sort of going on. And then the latest updates, so the LA Lakers are still interested in Dorian Finney-Smith, but their hopes for potentially landing Royce O'Neal have fallen out of favor a little bit, and I'll explain as to why right now. Because the Brooklyn Nets have been denying trades left, right, and center. You probably saw the report about Mikal Bridges, obviously the player that was the centerpiece of the Kevin Durant trade, among 4 first-round picks, Cam Johnson, some pieces there, but the Brooklyn Nets have apparently turned down all of the picks that they traded for, they sent away in the James Harden deal. So the Brooklyn Nets, again, are a lower tier team in the Eastern Conference right now. So very valuable draft picks back in return for Mikal Bridges, along with packages that included Jalen Green. So Jalen Green obviously being a bit inconsistent to start off his career, but filled to the brim with potential. So the Nets are declining those types of trade offers, and we heard talks about maybe a first round pick getting involved, that 2029 first for Finney-Smith, maybe a D'Lo or something along those lines. But the Lakers might have their money, they'll have to open their pockets in order to acquire Dorian Finney-Smith, given all of the teams that are interested in him, the Lakers, the Mavericks, the Bucks, the Thunder, Suns, and Kings, and the asking price the Brooklyn Nets are sort of looking for now at this point, because the Brooklyn Nets have rejected an offer of 2 first-rounders for Dorian Finney-Smith, which is kind of crazy to sort of, turn your head at, because in all the discussions, all the previous reports that were going on with Dorian Finney-Smith, going back to like a month ago, it seemed like 1 first would be sort of the price for Dorian Finney-Smith, and some people were looking at that like, hey, Finney-Smith is good. Again, plays solid defense. Is a 3-point floor spacer, but hasn't been tremendous there for the Brooklyn Nets. Has dealt with minor injuries here in the past, but not a guy that's going to create much. Not a guy that's going to be, game-changing for your offense. Will help the defense for sure, but not an offensive game changer. So, first round picks seem to be like a high asking price, especially for LA, given the lack of draft capital LA has going in the future. But to decline 2 first round picks in a potential trade offer, and all of the reports coming out about the trades that they're declining, the packages that they're not willing to sort of accept, LA is probably not going to be able to acquire or probably even make a single trade with the Brooklyn Nets, because unless their asking prices dive significantly in the coming weeks, over the next few days, over the coming days, with the trade deadline just around the corner, I mean, you can't give up. Well, the Lakers can't even trade 2 first-round picks here now at this point, but they can't give up all that future draft capital, future young pieces, all these types of things for a guy that, again, I want to say he's redundant on the LA Lakers roster because he would be valuable when you have players like, I guess Jared Vanderbilt's out of the lineup here now at this point, but we have a lot of wing depth and Torian Finney-Smith, Freudian slip there, Cam Reddish off the bench for this team. We have now Darvin Ham has been enlightened a little bit, and the starting lineup is back to what it needs to be with D'Lo out there, with Austin Reaves out there, obviously LeBron, AD, and then floor spacing out there on the squad. Taurean Prince brought to the bench. We're not desperate to acquire a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, with Jared Vanderbilt going out, then maybe you can make more of an argument to make sense. But if we have to give up more than 2 first-round picks in a potential trade offer to bring in a guy like, Finney-Smith, who again is a 3-and-D player, but not going to cook that much for you on the squad, I'm not letting it happen. Again, I'm of the stance that the LA Lakers should hold their draft capital, all of their main picks, for the offseason and make a blockbuster trade, a game-changing trade, and hope you can acquire sort of a solid role player without having to give up all those firsts. And, Tyus Jones, with the asking price being 2 seconds. Now, apparently they also declined a pick from a deal from the Minnesota Timberwolves that would have been 4 first-round picks for the Washington Wizards, declining that package. So conflicting reports there, but if we can get, a Tyus Jones on the cheap, I think he would be a nice backup sort of for this LA Lakers roster. Find a big man. Nick Claxton's also been a piece that has been named as he's an unrestricted free agent for the Brooklyn Nets this offseason, and it doesn't seem like he'll want to return to Brooklyn given they're just, they're not in a good place right now, the Brooklyn Nets, and don't seem like things are going to change with their lucrative asking prices here now at this point. So some are speculating maybe the Lakers could bolster their front court in acquiring Nick Claxton, but again, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in the summer. Unless that asking price goes down in the dumps, I'm probably not giving up too much capital in order to bring him in now at this point. Bruce Brown is a player that, again, the Toronto Raptors, given the multitude of offers that have come out now over the last few days, they're going to get a first-round pick for him, probably a decent player. So, holding on to that draft capital to acquire a guy like Donovan Mitchell in the offseason. Every single summer, we see teams, collapse, don't exceed expectations, and then their star players are looking out. They're looking for trades. They're looking for these types of moves. If the Lakers have 3 first-round picks available, still the D'Angelo Russell contract to match salaries, and then probably some of our wing guys like Hachimura, some of these pieces. Heck, if it's a top tier player, you could throw in an Austin Reaves in one of those packages as well. I mean, that's when you really load off all those assets. And the Lakers have kind of been winning as of late. With this lineup change, it's nice to see LA sort of make a push, get 2 big wins over the Celtics, over the Knicks, 2 of the hottest teams in the NBA in recent weeks. Ham has been enlightened and brought Taurean Prince off the bench, despite the fact Jared Vanderbilt has been injured now at this point. I'm pretty optimistic for this LA Lakers team going forward, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.